Did he say anything when he did this, or did he just literally pull out a knife and just start stabbing him?
He just pulled out a knife and started stabbing him.
So what you're seeing there is an interview with a Navy SEAL who served with Edward Gallagher, a Navy SEAL who'd been accused of war crimes and is now a favorite on the right. And that's really why we're talking about Edward Gallagher once again. The combination of these two things. We have people who served with him going on the record about their impressions of who he was, and the fact that he is now, and you can expect all next year, going to be out front in support of Donald Trump. I mean, take a look at this picture. There he is hanging out over the holidays at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump and the First Lady. This is a guy who's been accused of multiple war crimes and has become a hero on the right, either because they think he didn't do it, or in my view, because he's been accused of multiple war crimes. And we're gonna have a whole bunch of sections of these New York Times interviews with him. Just initially, what do you think about the fact that he has been lifted up by the right and by Trump especially, who's tweeted numerous times about this guy?
It actually kind of crystallizes what Trump, for me, what Trump probably looks for in someone. It's not just whether they're good or bad in his eyes. It's whether the other side is saying something different about them in the meantime. I think that's what this is about. I think if there wasn't, because we heard basically the case against Eddie Gallagher was that he did all this stuff. We just hadn't seen the video evidence of actual other soldiers saying it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's what Trump gravitates toward, is not just like, this is a soldier. Otherwise he would have just picked a soldier. He would have picked a soldier who did good things and was a hero.
Yeah.
But instead, he found a soldier that everyone else was saying is a bad guy.
Specifically for killing Muslim civilians indiscriminately.
Yes, in a way that
Not
is
all
expedient to him.
civilians.
That's where it all comes together. Is he's doing things that people are calling him evil for, that people are calling you evil for. They think that you're anti-Muslim, but you're not. You're just protecting America. The same way these guys are saying this guy's anti-Muslim, but he's not. He's just protecting America. They're coming to us. Now read my tweet where it's like they're coming for you, but I'm the one in between you and them. That's what this is about. We're strong, but we're embattled.
Yeah, well, in this case, the people that are coming for him are Navy SEALs who served with him and witnessed what he did. So we're gonna read some of what was revealed in the New York Times piece that is now available. You can read all about it. They say in cramped interview rooms in San Diego, SEALs who spoke to Navy investigators painted a picture of a platoon driven to despair by a chief who seemed to care primarily about racking up kills. They described how their chief targeted women and children and boasted that, quote, burqas were flying. So we have a couple of real standout quotes here. Again, this is not from people who heard about these are people who served with him. So, asked whether the chief had a bias against Middle Eastern people, Special Operator Scott replied, I think he just wants to kill anybody he can. Special Operator Miller told investigators, the guy is freaking evil. Special Operator First Class Joshua Vrians, a sniper, said the guy was toxic. And Special Operator First Class Corey Scott, a medic, said you could tell he was perfectly okay with killing anybody that was moving. And look, I don't know firsthand much about the culture of Navy SEALs, but I keep reading over and over that they generally do not criticize one another about the things that they do in the field. It is a big thing for them to come forward on the record with their name and just think about what they must have gone through, what they must have seen to come to the point where they feel like we have got to say something about this guy.
Yeah, and it's a lot of them. That's the question. That's the central question I've had for a very long time is how much truth do you need before you believe it? That's what we're giving you. This is a lot of truth at you. The only people who are defending Eddie Gallagher are Eddie Gallagher. We should probably get rid of that because that's himself. Of course you can, but the other people who are SEALs, by the way, the Navy SEALs you revere, the brave soldier, the person on the wall watching out for you.
Yep.
There's a lot of them. There's more of them saying this guy was evil than someone who is him. I need other character witnesses for him.
There's Pete Hegseth of Fox and Friends.
Pete Hegseth who doesn't know him. The other people have every incentive in the world to not acknowledge this at this point.
Yeah.
Because they're already all in for him.
Yeah, well, because a couple of different things, which as we've talked about this over the past few months keeps coming up. One, he was killing Muslims. We can pretend that everybody equally thinks that that's a bad thing. I don't think that we equally think that's a bad thing. And two, there's some people who don't like the precedent that we would be calling out our own soldiers if they commit war crimes.
We have for a long time.
Exactly, but some people are uncomfortable with that. I don't think they like the idea that we would acknowledge war crimes that are committed by our side. And so let's talk a little bit more about what he did. So some of the SEALs said they came to believe that so really fast, before we get to this graphic, the reason this is interesting is it is not just that Trump is lifting up a guy of all the soldiers he could campaign with who has been accused of multiple war crimes. It's that in doing it, and the guy he chose, both of those endangered other soldiers, endangers the morale of the military, all of that. Like as we've been talking over the past month, him continually overriding military leadership to protect this guy hurts the military. But he doesn't care because he cares more about this accused war criminal than he does about the military. And take a look at what the effect this guy had when he was serving. So some of the SEALs said they came to believe that the chief was purposefully exposing them to enemy fire to bait ISIS fighters into revealing their positions. They said the chief thought that casualties in the platoon would increase his chances for a Silver Star. Now you can say that they're wrong. Sure, they could be wrong, I don't know, I wasn't there. But they apparently believed that he did not care if they lived or died if it gave him a chance to gun down enemy soldiers and make him look impressive to the higher ups.
And he has been deemed impressive by the highest up. And all the incentives now are to do stuff like this, are for people like this. And you know who it dissuades from joining up to actually do the things that like you would think a soldier would want to join up for? It dissuades all the ones who are doing it for the right reasons, and incentivizes all the people who'd be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and that's the people inside of the US. Now think about people in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and Yemen and all of these different places. Think about what they will think when they see that the president of the United States has chosen to invite to his Christmas party and share eggnog with, and soon he'll be campaigning with him. He chose, of all the soldiers, a guy who gleefully executed captured ISIS fighters. What message does that send to potential allies abroad, to potential enemies abroad? That if someone is believed to have killed civilians, this guy is accused of gunning down purposefully an old man, a teenage girl, firing wildly into civilian areas just for fun to see what would happen. That this is the guy that Trump lifts up. What message does that send to everyone in these areas of the world that we insist that we're gonna continue to be involved with?
And I guarantee you, along the way, he said central casting.
Almost certainly,
he just looks like a cartoon of a soldier you believe in, and he looks great in his uniform. His wife's a knockout, like that kind of stuff. Like he says stuff like that, and we're gonna have them with us. Make sure he wears all the ribbons he gets, and can we put more on him?
Yeah, and by the way, like the things he's accused of doing, like again, the pro-life people, they're not gonna care, they're gonna love it. That could be Congressman Gallagher in a couple of years. You don't think that they would do that? You don't think that he could be put into a position of leadership in the military by Trump? That he wouldn't just lift him up and make him Secretary of Defense? What does he care? He doesn't respect any of these offices. War criminal, whatever, he looks the part, put him in there.
And in the coverage, but Trump insists that all these allegations are false.
Exactly, and so let's go to Edward Gallagher, who said this through his lawyer. My first reaction to seeing the videos was a surprise and disgust that they would make up blatant lies about me, but I quickly realized that they were scared that the truth would come out of how cowardly they acted on deployment. So understand, you can say what this thing they say was a lie, this thing's a lie. We have the photo of him posing in front of the dead ISIS fighter that he killed with a knife. So he's pretending that this is all made up, blatant lies, and that they're being cowardly. There was a guy who was being treated by a medic, was knocked out. He takes out his knife and goes up and stabs the guy to death. But everyone else are cowards. And by the way, do you know that knife? I learned something about this story today. So when he was retired, he posted on Instagram about this new hatchet he got from a guy who makes knives and other sorts of weapons. So that guy had made a knife for him in the past. It was the knife he brought to war and used to kill this guy. Before going there, he had posted that he wanted to put it into someone's skull. That's the sort of sociopath that we're supposed to believe all of these other SEALs, they're just making up gossip and lies about him. A guy who bragged that he wanted to murder someone with this knife, and he found an opportunity, not in combat, not in the thick of it, but there was a person who was knocked out being treated by a medic and he decided to execute him with his knife.
It's messed up.
It's sick. It's sick. In the last few years, a lot of bad stuff has happened. It's difficult for something to really stand out, but Trump and 32% of this country embracing a guy, not despite him being accused of war crimes, but specifically because he was accused of war crimes, that stands out as particularly disgusting. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.